The shadow of the ancestors. In the heart of Isoko land, where the sun kissed the earth and the rivers whispered ancient tales, lived a young couple, Ife and Ogogo. Their love was a quiet, steady flame, a beacon in their small, bustling town. One evening, a shadow fell over their home. Ogogo sat on the edge of their bed, her hands trembling. "Ife," she began, her voice a fragile whisper, "I feel terrible. When I close my eyes, I see them." Ife knelt before her, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. "Who do you see, my love?" he asked, his voice thick with dread. "The masquerades," she confessed, her eyes wide with terror. "They chase me in my dreams. They know." She finally spoke the words that had been a stone in her heart. "I have not been true to you, Ife. I have been with other men." The words hung in the air, heavy and cold. Ife's mind raced back to the stories his father had told him. The sacred tradition of the Isoko people, that a married woman's body was a sanctified vessel, owned and accessible only by her husband. To violate this was to anger the ancestors. He left Ogogo there, a statue of sorrow, and ran through the dark streets to his parents' home. The fear for his wife was a fire in his chest, but the fear of the ancestors was a cold, gripping hand. He burst into their small living room, breathless and wild-eyed. His parents, Ma and Pa, looked up from their evening meal, their faces a mixture of surprise and alarm. "She confessed," he gasped. "The masquerades. She has been with other men." Ma gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. Pa's face hardened. He knew the traditions, the sacrifices of goats and chickens, the cleansing rituals to appease the angered spirits. But they were Christians now. "We will not go to the shrines," Pa said, his voice firm. "We will go to the house of God. We will see Pastor David. He will know what to do. God's forgiveness is greater than any ancestor's wrath." The next morning, a somber trio walked to the church. The air was thick with unspoken fear, a silent prayer that their faith would be enough to protect them from the ancient, unseen forces. Inside the small, humble church, they confessed their sins and their fears to Pastor David. He listened with a heavy heart, his face a mixture of compassion and concern. "God's mercy is boundless," Pastor David said, his voice a soothing balm. He laid his hands on Ife's head and prayed for God's forgiveness, for a cleansing of the spirit, and for protection from all evil. But the ancestors, the guardians of the tradition, were not appeased. They did not hear the pastor's prayers. They only heard the broken pact, the defiled vessel, and the silence of the rituals that were not performed. That night, Ife's body grew cold. He fell into a deep, final sleep, a victim not of a physical ailment, but of a spiritual one. He had chosen faith over tradition, and the tradition had claimed its due. Ogogo was left alone, haunted not just by the masquerades, but by the weight of her choice and the silence of the ancestors. The town whispered of the young man who died for a sin that was not his own, a pact that was broken, and a tradition that could not be ignored.